I know that this Board of Peace was born to originally address Gaza, and President Trump, he mentioned Gaza at Davos on Thursday. He said the war in Gaza, which is really coming to an end, we have little fires that we'll put out, but they're little. I know that the Board of Peace is part two of that ceasefire deal. Do you agree with his assessment there that the war is over, there's just little fires here? Or is he just saying that and that's not really what the reality is on the ground?
Look, the war's been contained, but that doesn't mean that it can't erupt again, under the wrong circumstances, right? Or with one match. And I think that's what I'm concerned about right now. The entire region has been contained for the moment. There was a 7-front war that was being fought. All of those fronts have gone quiet. But let me just say, the moment that there is an intervention in Iran, and we almost had one last week where the president was apparently very close to striking the Islamic Republic of Iran, that could reignite the proxy groups, to include Hamas, to start waging more of a hot war against Israel. So things can easily reemerge. What I like about what the president's done here is he's not giving Hamas a veto over phase 2 in Gaza. In other words, we know that Hamas hasn't fully dismantled itself. It's not surrendered all of its weapons. It actually still hasn't even handed over one of the bodies of the hostages that's still in Gaza. So phase 1 isn't fully complete. But Donald Trump is basically saying, look, you're dragging your feet. We don't care. We are still moving forward with the plans to remove you from the Gaza Strip. And we're going to move forward with the rebuilding of Gaza. We're going to try to establish calm, dare I even say peace, and we're going to do this whether you like it or not. This is the road to normalization between Israel and other countries in the region. It's the road to more calm, less conflict. So I think he understands this, as long as he has partners in the region that are buying in. And again, I'm going to raise the question of Turkey and Qatar. Are they on board with this? Are they going to help? Are they going to stabilize Gaza, where their proxy that they've been funding and actually supporting, a terrorist organization, are they going to play a positive role? Are other countries of the Middle East also going to play a positive role here in sidelining Hamas and moving forward to something else? These are questions we don't know how to answer yet, but I'm not opposed to what has started in terms of the process that Donald Trump's put into play.
What do you want to see here to make sure that this isn't just some ceremonial peace organization? There were no major European allies. There were a lot of leaders from the countries in the Middle East. I mean, what do you want to see that this isn't just ceremonial, but ensures long-lasting peace in the region?
Well, look, I mean, to have Middle East players all join this thing in order to bring calm to Gaza and maybe even peace, that's a good thing. And I think that's all we need to know. I don't think the Europeans have a particularly large role to play. Not with the Middle East, not as I see it. I think the question really becomes, if the goal of this board is to start tackling other thorny issues, other conflicts, many of the conflicts that Donald Trump was talking about this morning out of Davos, that would be the moment where you start to scratch your head and wonder, hey, do you need to broaden this out? Do we need to get the Europeans on board? And look, the timing of this was not great, right? You had this big flap over Greenland. You have a lot of our European and NATO allies very angry with Donald Trump, with some of the threats that he was making. Now, I understand we've likely reached some kind of deal, and we're going to learn more about this deal over Greenland. But the Danes are unhappy, obviously. The Brits, the Germans, the French, they've all stayed away from this because they don't like the way that Donald Trump went about negotiating. It was very much art of the deal, a lot of chaos. And then you get people back to, where I think they would initially want to be in terms of compromise. I think it probably is going to work out fine in the end, at least from what we can tell right now. But the Europeans have stayed out, and they're unhappy with Trump. They don't want to support his initiative. They don't want to, I think some people have viewed this as some kind of a loyalty test, and they're basically saying, we're not signing on. If they do broaden that scope, the Europeans are going to be needed, and Donald Trump is going to need to bring them in, especially if you're trying to deal with Ukraine, if you're trying to deal with Russia, if you're trying to deal with, China, we're going to need them if it's China, Taiwan. we're going to need the Europeans. So stay tuned for that. It'll be interesting. Today, I look at it as probably phase one of this board and who joins. There will be others, or the thing begins to shrivel it shrivels on the vine, and there's an opportunity that's lost. But I don't see any crime here of trying to launch something that has the potential to do good in the world.